Welcome back to the Professional Hate Watching Association. My name is Ethan. I'm here with Daniel, like always. The second round of the playoffs is officially underway, which is why we had to get this episode out to you as soon as possible, which is why the sun is still out. I know it's kind of a foreign concept, but we got to do what we got to do. Daniel, the first round of the playoffs is officially in the books. Last time we went live, we were waiting on a couple of series to wrap up. Those have since ended, and some went the distance all the way to Game 7. I'm thinking Pistons and Magic, the Raptors and the Cavs. Just before we get going, talking about the second round, what were your reactions to just how those series ended?
I was honestly super surprised that the 76ers were able to go into Boston and steal a Game 7. And I know that Jason Tatum wasn't playing, so that kind of is already a built-in excuse for the Celtics. But I remember that I texted you before that game that the Sixers were looking to win their first playoff series against Boston since 1982, and they shared that on the broadcast. It had been forever since Philly had beaten Boston in a playoff series, and I just couldn't imagine, even though the Celtics have lost some Game 7s at home in recent years. They lost against Miami in 2023 when the Heat had that Cinderella run to the finals, and then LeBron beat them in 2018. But like, it just felt impossible that the Sixers of all teams, specifically them, could go in there and win a game like that. And they almost blew it at the end too. Like, it almost didn't happen. But they escaped with the win. I think that was the most surprising outcome of the first round for me by far. And also considering the fact that Boston blew a 3-1 lead, just completely fell apart.
It almost overshadows the fact that the Magic blew a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, definitely.
And you could argue that the Magic collapse was even worse, even though they were an 8 seed having a 3-1 lead over a 1 seed. Whereas Boston was the 2 seed over the 7 seed Philly. But I mean, you saw that Magic's second half of Game 6 where they scored 19 points or something like that, 24 points. It was something ridiculously
I think
low.
they made 4 field goals the entire half or something like that.
So Boston, I think there's really a debate about which collapse was worse. Yes, Jason Tatum didn't play in Game 7, that's fair, but Boston's been playing most of the season without Jason Tatum. I honestly, this is not a disrespect to Jason Tatum at all, but I didn't think that was going to hinder Boston as much as people thought it was going to.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost by single digits at the end, so technically, I guess if Tatum does play, he makes up for that. But I didn't think it was that bad. The Magic collapse, though, was something to behold, honestly. If I had $1 for every time a number 1 seeded Detroit Pistons team made a 3-1 comeback against an 8 seeded Orlando Magic team, I'd have $2 now. Which isn't a lot, but why do I have $2? It's weird that it happened twice. So this is an instance where, you know how we always say history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. History literally repeated itself this time.
Bar for bar.
There is no, stole the whole flow and everything. The script writers just, duplicate, just did a rerun. But I want to talk about the Sixers Celtics series, because again, Game 7 was marred in a little bit of controversy, I guess. You and I both watched this game.
Yep.
And I get what you're saying, where it was Philly kind of almost blew it at the end. Boston cut it a little close. Didn't end up mattering. Philly leaves with a Game 7 win. But Jaylen Brown didn't think it was just that. He went on a live stream. What was it, the day after? So it would have been Monday. We're now recording this on Wednesday. So 2 days ago, he went on a live stream complaining about the officiating. He also made other comments about, this season being his favorite, but we'll talk about that after this. I want to start with the officiating comments. Honestly, didn't really look, it was kind of just run of the mill to me, because I see players criticize the officiating all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I thought it was just overall a bad look because of how they lost the series. The fact that they were up 3-1, had multiple chances to close out the Sixers, couldn't do it. Multiple chances at home, and they still couldn't do it. And I mean, I give Jaylen Brown credit for this. He did go down swinging because he had 33 points on 12 of 27 shooting. And up to that point, he had not been. The story for Jaylen Brown in this series was that he wasn't playing well because he was getting strapped by Paul George for the most part, but he did show up in Game 7. So I will give him credit for that. And him and Derek White were about the only two Celtics that decided to show up, because three of the players that started for Boston that game, like, you want to talk about rolling the dice and about what Joe Mazzulla did with his starting lineup that game. Baylor Shireman, Luka Garza, and Ron Harper Jr. all went scoreless in that game. And Jaylen Brown and Derek White both had 25 plus. It was basically those two or nothing. So
I was gonna say, I was a little thrown off by the starting lineup that Mazzulla chose to run in this game 7. Now I understand you got to make some changes with Jason Tatum not available, but
right.
I mean, you started Luka Garza. He only played 9 minutes. You started Ron Harper Jr. He played 4 minutes. So, like, a little confused about what was going on here. I again, Neemias Queta played great off the bench, but again, he came off the bench and he played 33 minutes. Peyton Pritchard had 39 minutes off the bench. So, like, I was confused about what Mazzulla was doing. And I'm not saying like, oh, he messed this up, this is his fault. But you can't help but scratch your head at it. It's game 7. Why wouldn't you really go with what you're used to? But this is where I would say I give credit to Philly, because a lot of the conversation was actually pro Joel Embiid after all these years since his MVP win, and his inability to play, his injury history. Mind you, he's not playing tonight versus the Knicks. He's hurt. They announced that. But he comes back in this Philly-Boston series, and he changes the entire makeup of how this series is played. He is the X factor as to why Philly comes back and wins this. And I texted you about this once the game 7 ended. This comeback arguably does just as much, if not more, for his legacy as his MVP.
No, yeah, for sure.
It's up there.
No, it definitely is. And I think him coming back exposed what was, other than the Celtics just being completely overly reliant on the 3 ball. Like when they don't make threes, they don't deviate their game plan at all. They don't switch it up. They're like, we're just going to keep shooting threes. And if we lose the game shooting a bunch of threes, then so be it. But it also exposed the fact that like they have a lot of issues when it comes to like interior presence down low. And I think Jason Tatum being out of that game like exposed that a little bit as well, because Jason Tatum's a very versatile defender, kind of guards everybody. Now, I'm not saying that he would have done a better job on Embiid than Jaylen Brown did, because the size mismatch there is just
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And Joel Embiid was on a mission that game. Like, he said he was tired of losing to Boston, and he had like I can't remember other playoff games of his off the top of my head, but that has to be the best one, right? Like at least the most memorable one. So,
he had 34, 12, and 6.
Yeah.
That's literally his MVP statistic. That's an MVP statistic.
And they weren't going to be able to stop him regardless, because I think with Queta, it was him getting into foul trouble. That was his problem, even though he did have a good game, like you said, off the bench. And they just completely went away from Nikola Vucevic, who they got at the deadline this year.
He didn't play in game 7.
He didn't play. Yes. He was a DNP. So like the Celtics obviously have a lot of issues when it comes to like you're a Warriors fan. So like, you know what it's like to need a center on your team. Like yes. Celtics fans are starting to feel that now. They need an interior presence to be able to compete with some of these big men in the Eastern Conference. And I think it was just too much for them to overcome. And if Embiid's going to get 34, like that's not the end of the world. But then you can't let Tyrese Maxey go get 30 and 11 rebounds and 7 assists, and let VJ Edgecombe go get 23, and Paul George gives you 13. It's just too much to overcome for a team that's missing their best player in Tatum.
Yeah. I just to further prove your point about the 3-point shooting, Boston made 2 more threes than Philly in this game with 21 more attempts.
Right.
So I understand that Boston, again, lives by the 3, dies by the 3. We've seen this. I think the biggest example of this is, you remember opening night 2024 when they played the Knicks and they just shot so many threes. I can't remember what their total was, but like if you want to know what Boston's philosophy is on offense, you just look at that game.
I think they were 1-3 away from breaking the record.
Yes,
for like
and they didn't hit it.
But that's just because they were just chucking them up all game.
Yeah.
It was insane.
So that sums it up. But again, going back to Joel Embiid and the impact, like Boston, you know what it kind of felt like? It felt like, and this is kind of ironic because the Magic just went through missing 23 straight. It reminded me of the old Rockets team that missed 27 straight threes. I'm not comparing it like that instance, but think about how that Rockets team was constructed. It was you shot really, really close shots, and then you
Mhm.
shot threes. There was nothing in
Right.
the middle, which is kind of crazy because, again, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are both pretty solid mid-range shooters, but that's just not how this team operates. And so when you
Right.
bring in when you add Joel Embiid back into the lineup, he pretty much eliminates everything that's under the basket. So you know what? Screw it. Let's take a bunch of threes. And, there is a situation where Boston hits 4 more threes and they win this game. And we're having a completely different conversation because they're still shooting in the 30%-ish range, but they win this game, so it doesn't matter. But I agree with you in that maybe I'm just saying this because I'm a Warriors fan, but like the Celtics missed a guy like Kristaps Porzingis in the middle
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
There wasn't a person to match Joel Embiid guarding him on defense, but also nobody to challenge him when he was on defense. So it just all that is to say is it makes Jaylen Brown's comments after the game like not great, but also a little funny because yes, the officiating had its moments, but like when doesn't it?
Right.
And dude, you had 3 chances to beat the Sixers, 2
Yeah.
of them at home, like,
Yeah.
and you kind of got smoked in all 3 of them. Like,
Right. Yeah.
it wasn't like if you had blindly shown somebody the 2 stat profiles of the last 3 games, you wouldn't think Boston was the 2 seed. You'd probably think this was a 1 versus 8 matchup. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. But yeah, Jaylen Brown, somehow his officiating comments weren't even the worst. He got fined for that, by the way, I think. I'm pretty sure he got fined.
$50,000.
Yeah, which is nothing, but it's the principle. Somehow that wasn't the biggest head scratching comment he made on his stream, because I don't know if you saw this too. He was talking about the season as a whole, and he said that this past season was his favorite out of all of the seasons he's played. Mind you, he has won a title and a finals MVP. And yet he said this was his favorite season, where he got to be the number 1 option. In my opinion, he was an MVP candidate, but he blew a 3-1 lead and lost in the first round to a rival.
Right. Yeah. Those comments are tough because I somewhat understand them, because going into the year, the narrative was at the time that this was a rebuild, not a rebuild year, maybe a retool year for Boston.
A reload year, yes.
Most people thought they were going to be without Jason Tatum for the entire season. And even though he did come back, and now people, I think it's fair to ask whether or not that was a good idea, because he came back for those like 19 games or whatever, kind of threw off their offensive rhythm or whatever. It was basically right before the playoffs, so they still needed time to integrate him to the offense. And I think him not playing in Game 7, I think was the right move, given the fact that he just had this lengthy recovery from one injury, and the Celtics have been without him all year. So like, I think it's fair for them to think they can win 1 game at home without Jason Tatum, when that's the team they've been the entire season. But I also just think the comments were a little puzzling, because it's like, yeah, how are you going to say that the season that you just had, where your co-star, your best player, was out the entire year, essentially, and you lose in the first round to arguably your biggest rival in the conference, if it's not the Knicks? So
in the fashion that you did too.
Yeah. From that point, it was a little, I don't know. I'd take the season when you went 64-18, cruised through the Eastern Conference and won Finals MVP over.
And everybody was talking about you having a Mickey Mouse schedule because you were dismantling opponents so easily.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So,
to be honest, I'm not even really mad at the comments. The puzzling part is the timing of it. You couldn't wait until longer than a day after your season ended the way that it did to make these comments. I think internally, there's nothing wrong with having this being the most fun you've had all year, because again, when you think about a guy like Jaylen Brown, like you said, has always been at best 1B to Jason Tatum's 1A, but
yeah,
a lot of people view him as an option 2. And now he got to pretty much prove everybody wrong and say, hey, I could be at option 1 if I really wanted to on another team, but I want to get paid here and I want to compete to win titles here in Boston.
Right.
So he proved a lot of people wrong. Again, I think he should have been an MVP candidate this season. He played great. So all of that circumstances considered, I don't think there's anything wrong with him saying this was the most fun he's had all year, because he got to be the captain of the ship and he led Boston to primarily by himself the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
But wait a little bit to say this, man. Like,
yeah,
you can't. You can't go out the way that you did, go on a live stream, complain about the officiating, and then on that same stream say, "Oh yeah, but this was like the most fun I had all career. Like this season was the most fun I've ever had." So, not mad at the comments, just disappointed in the timing. I think that's what I'll leave it at, because other people had dragged him through the mud for what he had to say. I saw Twitter.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other part of it is I kind of want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, I didn't hear any follow-up comments he had to say after that. I'd like to think he had the most fun this season because of the expectations surrounding the team. Like, yes, people didn't think they were a championship team this year. It was a retool year, but like what they were able to do collectively was pretty impressive, even though it didn't end the way they wanted to, getting the number 2 seed in the East. And obviously going out in the first round, but like overall, they still had a great season that I think they'll be able to build on for next year. But I think the other thing is, like, it's weird hearing those comments from him as well, because he's a guy that's won a championship, been a finals MVP, has been competing for championships basically his entire career. His rookie season was the 16-17 season when they were led by IT, got the number 1 seed that year, went to the conference finals. So like he's been competing for championships along with Jayson Tatum essentially every year of their careers. And like as a championship team and as a team that's great, like it sounds cliche, and I know people don't want to hear this, especially given the fact that one of arguably the best, if not the best player in the NBA is considered a foul merchant. But like, you can't be worried about the officiating when you're that great and you're that good. You should be able to overcome the obstacles like that in game eventually. You're not going to win every game, obviously, but like officiating shouldn't be the reason you lost. Like the reason you lost is going to be because you didn't play well enough. Like that's the bottom line. That's it.
I think there would be more grace too, because Jaylen Brown did play great. You read his stat line earlier.
Yeah.
I think there would be a little more understanding of his frustrations if they didn't blow a 3-1 lead. Like you had 3 chances to shut this series down.
Yeah.
And you floundered at each one.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned previously, like the single digit loss in game 7 doesn't really tell the whole story. Philly was in control for most of that game.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of like a waiting for this comeback to happen, and it just never really came to fruition.
Yeah.
So that's also part of it. People complain about the officiating all the time. Players complain about the officiating all the time. That's why it's still a conversation, which is arguably why the SGA conversation about his foul baiting is so prominent, because other players complain about it. So what Jaylen Brown said about the officiating wasn't uncommon. Matter of fact, it's actually relatively common. But it's the context in when he said it. Again, timing, dude. Timing. If you had said this,
wait a little bit, like just wait a couple weeks,
like weeks later, or even like next week.
Yeah.
Like we're having, like, it's probably not as bad, but yeah, the fact that it was the day after, it's just unfortunate. And I think the other frustrating part is that, like, personally, when I see stuff like that, Jaylen Brown is one of the most intelligent players in the NBA. Like, you look at his education background, you look at initiatives that he's involved in, he's very, like, in touch. He's not like one of those, like, players who says a comment and it's like, oh, he's out of touch, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And so that makes his comments all the more, a little more puzzling, because it's like, dude, what did you think was how people were going to react? Like, I understand sometimes you just got to get things off your chest, but how did you think this was going to go?
Yeah. And that's the other thing I love about the NBA playoffs, and like MLBs like this, obviously, as well. Hockey, like in a 7-game series, I think more often than not, unless they're like not counting like catastrophic injuries or something, both teams are relatively healthy. I think the better team is going to win this series like a good amount of times. Like if you're able to beat a team 4 times out of 7 games, I think the Sixers were the better team that series at the end of the day. Like Boston was better record-wise, but when fully healthy, when Joel Embiid got back and the Sixers were at full strength, kind of like the Magic, I don't think they were your typical 7th seed, because you looked at them as a matchup and you were like Tyrese Maxey, like Paul George at this stage of his career, being the third best player on a team that's trying to win a championship, on paper and roster wise, that's a pretty scary team. And for one series, they were able to put it all together. And I think they proved, regardless of officiating, that they were just better than Boston, especially considering Boston was missing their best player. So,
not to mention the fact that like VJ Edgecombe he's proving why, even though he was third in Rookie of the Year voting, he's proved why he was on that short list for Rookie of the Year candidates. It was Cooper Flagg, it was Con Knipple, and then it was VJ Edgecombe, and then everybody else, really.
Yeah.
So I think his performance, especially in that game 7, 27, I think is what we said.
Yeah.
Like, just great. He's that kid's something special, man. I think that he's gonna only get better. And he had 23 in game 7. Regardless, like 23 is still, your first playoff series, game 7. That's impressive. And the fact that you can alternate between Paul George and VJ Edgecombe, that's a pretty nice luxury of who's your third best option when Joel Embiid is on the floor. But as I mentioned earlier, he's not available for game 2. Fresh off the Knicks blowing out the Sixers, bro. Let's talk about this real quick, because we were just giving the Sixers praise. I have been supporting the Sixers since October. I thought they were the dark horse to hit 40-plus wins. Here they are pushing 50 wins with the 4 playoff wins now. But the end of the road might be soon. Now, I anticipated a game 1 loss. I know I'm sounding like LeBron, but predicting the future. But, the Sixers only had 48 hours of rest from a game 7 against a rival, and now you're going up against another rival. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but, the Knicks are firing on all cylinders. This is now their 3rd game in a row, I think, where they've won by 25 or more.
Yeah.
Although I think for game 6 in Atlanta, you could have counted that as 2 blowout wins. Heck, maybe even 3. But I think it's the same. Joel Embiid's health is going to be the same X factor as it was against Boston. It's going to be the same X factor I think it's going to be against New York, because I don't know if you feel the same way. You might feel the same way because you picked Atlanta to upset New York.
I did.
Like, if Philly can beat Boston, they can beat New York.
I think they can. I agree with that. I just don't think. First of all, I want to say this: what Joel Embiid's game 7 performance, like, I can't remember many times where I've gained the amount of respect I did for a player after one game. Like, what he was willing to put his body through to come back. He had surgery on did he get his appendix removed like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, an appendectomy. I think I'm saying that right.
Came back middle of the series. They're down 2-1 at that point. They get blown out in game 4, and he helps will that team back and win that series. Just like insane amounts of respect to Embiid, and like the fact that he was able to play as well as he did on the road in Boston, like something like, forget about the Celtics beating the Sixers in a playoff series since 82. Like, the fact that they were able to win a game 7 in Boston, I think is like the story of that series, along with them winning.
Especially when you think about the last time Philly was in Boston for game 7, which is what?
Like, you could argue that Embiid and Harden, it looked like they quit on Doc Rivers in the second half. Like, they just threw up boot signs and didn't show up. But dude, I just don't think Embiid's body is built for the structure of an NBA season. To play 82 games in the regular season and then play you have to win 16 playoff games to win a title. All of these series could go 7 games. I just don't know if he's built to last I think that was, which team's playoff slogan was that? That was just straight off the dome, by the way. I don't remember whose team it was, but one of those teams had a playoff slogan that was built to last or something like that. It might have been Boston, actually. But like, back to the topic, Embiid's health is the X factor, and I think it's the reason why after game 1, I think I said that the Sixers had a chance to win this series. I don't think they're done, because I just don't know if Embiid's health is going to be what it needs to be for them to have a chance. Like, he's already missing game 2. They're already down a game in the series. So the Knicks are most likely going to go up 2-0 tonight, and they're going to go play 2 games in Philly. And dude, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but they're only letting Philadelphia residents buy tickets to the home games I don't know if that's Centel, but like, I saw it, and I wouldn't be surprised, because you remember in 2020, what was it? 2024, it might have been, in that first round when the Knicks and Sixers played, and Wells Fargo Center, or whatever the Sixers call their arena, looked like it was mostly Knicks fans in there. So like Knicks fans, I think they're gonna find a way to get in there. Like you can do whatever you want about like who buys tickets, but Knicks fans are gonna find a way to fill in that stadium. And I just don't see Philly winning both at home if they're trailing 0-2. Like the Knicks are gonna get at least one of those. Then you got to go back to MSG, and I don't think they're coming back from down 3-1 again against the Knicks because the Knicks look like the best team in the East right now, and I don't see them blowing a 3-1 lead or any sort of big lead in this series. So I think it was a nice run, but I think Philly's done. Like, I think it's over.
The Knicks are firing on all cylinders right now. I mean, it's kind of old news at this point, but like, dude, they dismantled the Hawks. Like that was in that they had the Hawks had you and me out there. That's what it looked like they had,
dude.
So the Knicks arguably look like the best team in the NBA playoffs right now, based on how well they've been playing the last 3 games. And if there was ever a time for a team to peak, it's in the playoffs. So, I don't know. It's tough because what Philly showed against Boston was something that I think I can't speak for Sixers fans because I'm not one, but non-Sixers fans, like outside observers, have been kind of waiting to see if it would ever happen, which is this team going to click? And it did for 3 straight games. 3 straight games, 2 of which on the road. It clicked like that. It was amazing. But I share the similar sentiment as you. If Joel Embiid's hurt again, I think they just ran out of gas. I really do, which is unfortunate because you know how funny it would be? You know how hilarious it would be if Philly knocks out Boston and New York in the same playoff series. Mind you, I'm not even factoring in that this would be Embiid's first trip to the conference finals, but the road that he would hypothetically take to get there would be defeating the 2 other like East Coast powerhouse like brands.
It's like basketball. The trifecta of East Coast fan bases and that like Atlantic division as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It would be like objectively hilarious. So
are you willing to say what I said and already declare that the series is over or no?
No, I'm not going to declare
I low-key think the Knicks are going to win this thing in like 5 games. Like
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm being so serious.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Especially after that game 1 performance. But Tyrese Maxey plays like insane basketball. I would argue he's a better player than Jaylen Brunson. I think he's right there. I think the conversation of the best guards in the Eastern Conference in no order is Cade, Tyrese Maxey, and Jaylen Brunson.
Yeah.
So Jaylen Brunson's not a good defender. Tyrese Maxey is at least a better defender than Jaylen Brunson. I think he's pretty solid. And VJ Edgecombe is a good defender too. So I think there's a scenario where the Sixers just make it too uncomfortable for the Knicks. Now, are they going to do that tonight? Who knows? But what I mean uncomfortable is just they're just a pest on defense. And Jaylen Brunson has 1 off shooting night. And I think that's all the Sixers need to like spark up some momentum. They did that in against Boston. If they did it against Boston, I think they could do it against New York. That's all I'm going to say.
I feel like you got to get this one tonight, though. Like, I don't think you can go down 0-2.
No, you probably need to get this one tonight. You need to get this one tonight because like going down 0-2 is always so funny because going down 0-2 is not the end of the series. Matter of fact, more often than not, the series doesn't usually end in 4 games. It goes longer.
Yeah.
But you almost feel like going down 0-2 is like, as a fan, you're like, damn, because now you have to win 2 games to even just tie it again. And you want to avoid going down 3-0 because 3-0 is the death sentence.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I agree. You got to get this one tonight, but I think there's a situation where it happens. Like, I just think if you could pester Boston into playing that way to a way that you want, I think you can make the Knicks do the same thing. I say that because I think Boston was a better team than New York. But if New York's going to the conference finals, then maybe I'm not. Maybe they're not.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Speaking of the conference, the Eastern Conference, the Cavs ended up beating the Raptors in 7. So you and I were both incorrect on our upsets, I guess. How much ball do we really know? But they're playing the Pistons. They lost game 1 yesterday to the Pistons. Jalen Duren down the stretch, him and Cade played great. I think it was I could have had like 3 straight buckets. They had 3 straight buckets down They had 3 buckets at least. I can't remember if they were consecutive, like down the stretch of game 1. It was great. But for me, the storyline isn't about the Pistons, which is unfortunate because, again, the Pistons had a lot of question marks. They went down 3-1. Jaylen Brown was on like missing posters on the internet.
Yep.
And he showed up when it mattered, outdueled Paolo. So we should be talking about the Pistons, who have now won 4 straight playoff games. But I can't help but look at the Cavs, dude. Like, I can't help but look at the Cavs. Why am I saying that? Because James Harden, what he finished with? He finished with 20, didn't he?
He had 22 points, but it didn't. He
had 22 points. Yeah. How many turnovers did he have?
It isn't. 7 turnovers.
See, bingo.
How many? He had the same amount of assists as turnovers. How many
shots did he have?
He was 6 of 15 from the field.
He had more turnovers than made shots. Like, dude,
1 of 7 from 3.
So I can't help but point my attention there first, because the funniest part about it is talking about the Pistons is something that doesn't happen. Like, we talked about the Pistons last year in the playoffs, gave the Knicks a run for their money. We should be talking about the Pistons. We're going to talk about the Pistons, but I can't help but look at the Cavs first, which is ironic because this conversation about playoff James Harden has literally been going on for like almost a decade at this point, and it just never gets old. Why does it never get old? Not because I want to keep talking about it. In my opinion, it's because teams don't learn their lesson. Teams don't learn their lesson.
Like, neither do fans picking the Cavs to make the finals.
So certain people that we know pick the Cavs. Yes, I'm aware. I just don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm missing something. And maybe James Harden flips a switch, because he is one of the greatest players ever. And we have seen his ability to flip a switch and just turn into that player. But we haven't seen it consistently in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, the switch is usually just off in the playoffs. Like, we referenced that the previous game 7 in Boston, Philly had, I think he ended with single-digit points, something crazy like that. It was right. It wasn't good. That's all I remember. And again, when you have more turnovers than made shots, it's just, I saw a statistic where it was like, he's like top 10 for most turnovers through the first 8 games of the playoffs, like ever.
Damn.
He has like, I'll pull up the stat, but it just, I don't know, man. Like, are we missing something? Like, why do people keep buying into this?
I think because people look at what Cleveland is on paper, and on paper doesn't translate to on the court all the time. LeBron James always says this, the game, and everyone else too, but like, the game is won in between those 4 lines. It's not won in free agency. It's not won in the press conferences and the media. It's won on the court. And I guess you can be encouraged if you're a Cavs fan, because really nobody played well for them yesterday, and they were still able to keep it close. Like, Donovan Mitchell was 9 of 19. You already talked about what James Harden did. We also have to talk about Jared Allen, because, and I don't want to slander Jared Allen, because like, I like Jared Allen. Like, people don't really rock afros anymore, but he's like a symbol for like the afro rocking community. Like, I love Jared Allen, but like, you can't have 22 and 19 in game 7, like a damn near 2020 game, and then show up and drop 2 points and get 3 rebounds in game 1 against the number 1 seed. Like, the stakes are higher, so you got to play better. And then the Cavs need more from their shooters too. Dean Wade only took 3 shots, 5 points. He should be getting more looks from 3. Sam Merrill had a cardio game, 7 minutes and 0 points. So like, they're out. Nothing went well for the Cavs in game 1, and they were still able to keep it close. So that's the encouraging sign. But I think this also just goes to show you how much matchups matter in the playoffs, because the Pistons looked like a different team against Orlando. Like, they couldn't get their offense going really at all throughout that series until Franz Wagner got hurt. And once Franz Wagner got hurt, that really hurt Orlando, because they really didn't have an answer for Cade Cunningham for the rest of the series as that went on, because he had 45 in game 5 the next game, had in their comeback, I think he had 19 in the 4th quarter, and then played really well in game 7 as well. So the Cavs are just like, they're an easier matchup for Detroit because I think they're more of a finesse team, whereas Orlando wants to make the game ugly. Like they want it to get really physical. They want it to be close in the fourth quarter, win like grind out games. I think the Magic were on the verge of winning their series against the Pistons, even though they were the lowest scoring team in the playoffs. Like that makes no sense. I don't even get how that's possible. And I guess it's not because they lost the series, but like that was a crazy stat to me. So I think this matchup in general just favors the Pistons a lot more. So like they were able to get out of that Orlando series. So like now I don't think they'll look as bad against the Cavs as they did against Orlando. Like they still might lose this series, like just to be clear. But like I think they're going to look better in general than they did against the Magic.
So just for clarification, what I said earlier, I don't remember what I said. James Harden has 43 turnovers through 8 postseason games.
Yeah.
So like it obviously isn't exclusive to this one series, but it's just like, dude, that's not going to cut it, man. I mean, more turnovers than field goals made is that'll do it to you. That will do it to you. I feel bad for Donovan Mitchell. Like, obviously, he didn't have the greatest series against the Raptors. Like, he was relatively quiet in a couple of games.
Yeah.
But, like, dude, Jared Allen told the Raptors to go home in Game 7 and then proceeds to put up the game that he just did against the Pistons. Like, bro, you go home. Like, no disrespect, obviously. But, I feel like I don't want to buy too much back into the Pistons again. Not that I kind of jumped ship because if there was a team that they could come back from down 3-1 against, it would be the Orlando Magic, historically speaking. So I didn't lose sight of that. But when I think about how they're like, I say we, like I'm a Cavs fan, like we're Cavs fans. Evan Mobley's just got to have that game. Like he's just got like he played great. He played solid. He had 14, 9, and 5. And that's not bad. But there's got to be a game this series where Evan Mobley is just unstoppable. Like, he's shown flashes of it. I think he can do it. Like, Jalen Duren has obviously been very up and down this playoffs so far.
Right.
Evan Mobley could take advantage of that. So, I am waiting to see if that happens. Maybe it's just because he's a USC alum and I just want to see him succeed.
That's fair.
I think there's going to be a game. There's got to be a game here where he just is like, give me 28, be the leading scorer.
Yeah.
Like outscore Mitchell. And like, I think that obviously that would give you one game. You need 4, but I think Evan Mobley's an X factor here.
You need him to have the Evan Mobley game. Like when you look back on like the Cavs, let's say the Cavs do win the East or whatever, they get out of this series. You look back on like game, whatever it is, 4 or 5, where he just completely dominates, like you said. Like Evan Mobley won us that game. Like he needs to have one of those games.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
I think about Donovan Mitchell, and you know what to expect from him, and he played good in game 1. Like he's gonna probably win you a game, maybe 2, but like there's gonna be a night where he just isn't playing that well.
Yeah.
And somebody else has got to step up. And historically speaking, you can't trust Harden. So who's it going to be? Who is it going to? And Jared Allen, after what we just saw, who knows if he's going to be able to do what he's going to be able to do. We're running out of guys here. Like,
yeah. That's a very fair point. And I think the reason I understand why the Cavs wanted to trade for James Harden. And I was watching a podcast earlier today, and they were making this point, and I agreed with it. Like, both James Harden and Donovan Mitchell don't have to play well at the same time. Like, I think it's fine for them to one of them be like really on point. One of them's like, okay, but they're still assisting with others, but they can't both be bad. Otherwise, like the Cavs don't really work as a team because I think we're talking about Evan Mobley having a really good game. And I definitely agree, but I think a lot of that would have to do with him being set up to score and have opportunities to get offensive rebounds and putbacks or whatever. So like, I think it's very dependent. Like James Harden and Donovan Mitchell both can't play bad. Like one of them needs to be on point every night in order for Cleveland to have a chance in this series. And I think Detroit's starting supporting cast is playing a lot better. I think we have to shout out Tobias Harris because he's been really good in these playoffs. Another 20-point game. Duncan Robinson, welcome to the NBA playoffs. Like, finally had a productive game. 19 points, 5 threes. So, like, and Jalen Duren, like, he didn't shoot the ball well, but he still had a double-double and 4 assists. Like, we'll take that. And yeah, I mean, I just think this matchup-wise is a much easier series, I think, for Detroit than Orlando was. I think that's why we're going to see.
To me, it seems like it's just more straightforward. And I'm not saying that as a disrespect to the Cavs, but maybe it's straightforward. It's more conventional. Like, Jalen Duren has a clear opponent. It's Jared Allen. Like, Tobias Harris is guarding a wing player. Like, it's going to be Dean Wade. It might be Evan Mobley, Max Strus off the bench. But
Dr. Seuss.
By the way, Max Strus played great off the bench. By the way, he had 19 points. So,
true.
He played great. So, and then Cade Cunningham and Duncan Robinson, like Asar Thompson, like he's guarding, like he probably guards Evan Mobley, maybe something. But it's a little more like 1-to-1. Whereas the Magic is, like, as you were alluding to, like, dude, who guards Paolo? Like they guarded him, obviously, but you look at his statistics in the final 3 games, all losses, by the way. He played pretty solid, aside from game 6, but like nobody did.
Yeah.
So he's an anomaly.
That was Jason Tatum.
The Cavs don't really have a player like that. It could be Evan Mobley. It very well could be, but we have to wait and see.
Off the top of your head, do you know why Jared Allen only played 18 minutes?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, because I just saw that as well, so I'm wondering what that was about. I wonder if he got hurt. I'm not sure.
He had 4 fouls.
Okay.
So I didn't see that part. If it happened, I missed it. But speaking of injury, we got to talk about the Wolves Spurs because Anthony Edwards wasn't supposed to be back, and then he did come back.
Bro pulled a Giannis, hyperextended his knee, came back a week later.
Yeah, like I don't know how safe that is. I'm not going to question it though because again, I'm not a doctor. But he comes back. He comes off the bench. By the way, he comes off the bench, and he drops 18 points in 25 minutes on pretty efficient shooting, and that's probably the difference in this game. So here are the Wolves stealing game 1 in San Antonio. Now, I think you and I, it's not that we didn't think that this was possible, but with the Ant injury still up in the air, we were like, oh, well, let's see how much ground they can make up when he comes back. Well, here he is, and they're up 1-0. Yeah. So he's only going to get better, obviously, as the series goes on, because he's going to get back into game shape. But I was like, dude, what are the Spurs doing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a couple of things, obviously. Like you can look straight at Victor Wembanyama because, he had the 12 blocks. Chris Finch would argue some of them were goaltending. I did see some of them. They probably were. But he went 5 of 17 for shooting, bro.
0 of 8 from 3.
Like, it felt like I was watching, like, rookie year Victor Wembanyama because the whole part about Wemby's evolution as a player so far in the NBA is he's gotten a lot more, which is kind of crazy to say about somebody of his size, but he used to take a lot more threes. Now he doesn't. Like I think his averages are down. This game was like a blast from like year 1, blast from the past. So obviously you can't see that and be like, oh, there must be no reason. No, 2 words, Rudy Gobert. Like Rudy Gobert's been playing great defense these playoffs, and he continued it in game 1. But like Wemby's just got to play better than that.
Yeah.
Like on paper, like the Spurs should win this series, or am I like right?
I think because they have Victor Wembanyama, I think like on paper, if you want to compare these teams by position, I don't think it's that big of a gap. Like when you go position by position, because I think the Wolves, to be honest, like match up with like probably any team in the league. Like I think they're very well built. Like they have everything you need. They have shooting, they have size, they have like athletic players. So, but I think I agree with you in that because the Spurs have Wemby and he is like we use the word anomaly. He is an anomaly. Like they should win this series because they have Wemby, they have home court advantage. He has a great supporting cast. So yes, I agree that they should win this series. But if we get out of this series and Minnesota's moving on to the conference finals, I won't be surprised either, just because of how they match up with the Spurs. Like Ant's eventually going to go back in the starting lineup and they're going to take his minutes restriction off of him, I assume, like depending how long this thing goes. So I just think they match up really well with the Spurs. That's what it is.
You're right. I mean, I say Wemby's got to play better. Dude, De'Aaron Fox has got to play better. Have you seen that stat line?
I just saw it. He went like 5 of 14 or something like that.
He also had more turnovers than made shots. He had 6 turnovers. So
you can't have that.
You just can't have that. And the craziest part, and this is why I think, obviously I agree, the Spurs or the Wolves match up pretty well with the Spurs, like on paper at least. But again, played between those 4 lines. De'Aaron Fox had arguably his worst game of the calendar year 2026, and the Spurs lost by 2. So
it came down to literally the last shot of the game.
The Champagny shot, if it goes in, none of this matters because the Spurs are up 1-0.
Yeah.
So I see that and I just think, okay, you lose one game, okay, that sucks, but you know what you got to fix. I'm saying this like I'm a Spurs fan and I'm reassuring myself. I'm just speaking in general. Again, I agree with you in that I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Timberwolves Western Conference Finals bid, but the Spurs have just been rolling. And this was the first time where they really didn't look like that, aside from when Wemby got hurt and the Blazers stole that game. But again, Wemby got hurt mid-game. Spurs couldn't really adjust on the fly like that. But I look at this and I'm like, okay, obviously Ant's going to only get better because he's going to play more minutes. Bones Highland's probably not shooting another cardio game again. He went 0 for 6 in game 1. He's probably not doing that again. And Mike Conley's, doing his thing. But it's the Spurs series to lose for me still, in my opinion.
That's fair.
And I'm not saying that because they have home court advantage, but because I think that the Wolves obviously have proven that they can win wherever, whenever. Like you saw what they did in Denver.
Yeah.
And you saw what they did in San Antonio. But I look at the Spurs team. I've seen how they've been playing this year, most recently, especially last couple months, like since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Like dog. They got to do this. But the Nuggets came in to the playoffs as the hottest team in basketball, and they kind of got smoked. So the Wolves
I don't know. I'm also not gonna go Paul Pierce on this one and say it's over after one game, like I just did with the Knicks and the other series, because I do think that series is over. Like that series is done. I'm sorry, but with this series, yeah. But I think it's kind of the same thing. Like the Spurs, like if you lose game 2, then like it's scary hours because you're going into Minnesota. Like that environment's going to be insane. They're going to have all the confidence in the world, and you're going to be in trouble if you drop game 2. But I just can't get over how well the Timberwolves are built. Like with this Dante DiVincenzo injury, they're like Terrence Shannon Jr. and Jaylen Clark are like 2 guys that have been getting more minutes because of that. And well, Ant was out for the rest of the Denver series, so that allowed both of those guys to get in there and get minutes. But like TJ Shannon is a guy that they can rely on now. Like Jaylen Clark, former UCLA Bruin, by the way, somebody that can get in there and just run. Like you saw him in, I think it was game 6 when he sort of there was that double technical situation between him and Jokic. Like he can just get in there and like just make the game ugly. Like,
yeah.
Dude, the Timberwolves match up so well with I think the reason people don't want to believe in them in terms of them being able to win the championship is because they kind of have some Charlotte Hornets syndrome where it's like they get unserious at times. And it's like, can you really trust them? Because like we said, they almost blew this game. It came down to the very last shot when Anthony Edwards turned it over on the last possession and Champagny got you can't get a better look than what he got to win the game at the buzzer from 3, and he just missed it. Like when someone says it's a make or miss league, that's what they're talking about right there. And the narratives will be completely different, like you said, if that shot went in. But I think they need to really lock down and like take control of this series early. Like, go steal game 2 as well. Like, go up 2-0, because I think they can definitely do it. It'll just be a matter of whether or not they're able to just lock in and get it done.
Yeah, that's fair. Charlotte Hornets syndrome.
Because they also got smoked in the conference finals back-to-back years too. So I think that's why people don't really trust them to finish the job.
Well, I think of it like this too, and maybe this is me just selfishly thinking this. Like the Spurs, of the 4 teams left in the West, the Spurs, in my opinion, had the best chance to beat the Thunder. And selfishly, I don't want the Thunder back in the finals. So if I'm getting Thunder Wolves in the conference finals, I think you and I know where that's going. So, and maybe the Wolves can surprise us. Like, I'm not opposed to it. Matter of fact, I would endorse it. But just first glance, if I see that conference finals matchup, I have a hunch of where I know this where this is going.
Dude, if the Timberwolves lose in the conference finals for 3 straight years, I would hate to be a Timberwolves fan.
Might as well. You got to go 4 in a row, so you can be the Buffalo Bills of the of the end of the Western Conference. So I agree with you though. Like at some point you got to break through, and maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year that the Wolves do it. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like, I like Ant. Ant's a fun player to watch. So I'm not against it. The question is, can they finally put it all together? But considering Dante DiVincenzo was out for the rest of the playoffs, Ayo Dosunmu has been dealing with injury, Ant has been dealing with injury. Like, I don't know if it's going to come together.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase it. I don't think it's going to come together, but I would be. I am not going to say definitively that it's over because, again, they're up 1-0. That'd be ridiculous. But I just kind of like the Sixers, man. They might just run out of gas.
Yeah. We'll see.
Speaking of running out of gas, I feel like that's what's happening to the Lakers in real time because, like, did you watch this game yesterday?
I did, yeah. I had it on.
Well, I guess the correct way to say is, did you watch LeBron play and everybody else just like everybody else in the Lakers just kind of like exist? I mean, Hachimura played good, but like,
right.
Dude, Austin Reeves was bad, bro.
He shot what, March 16th from the field, 3 of 16.
It's May. March is well over. Wrong M month, bro.
He was 5 of 16 or 3.
He
shot 3 of 16, right?
Yeah, 3 of 16.
Okay,
I'm talking about. Yeah, he shot. It's May. March is over.
Yeah.
It just. I mean, here's the reality of it. Austin, double the shot attempts as you have points is kind of crazy. Here's the reality of it. Austin Reeves isn't shooting that poorly again. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's 20-point streak also ended last night.
No way. I didn't even notice that.
He only hit 18.
Okay.
So he only shot 3 free throws, by the way. So why do I bring that up? Because it's not going to happen again. Yes, Austin Reeves is going to shoot better. I'm fully confident in that for the rest of the series, however long this series may go. But Shai is probably scoring 20 plus for the rest of the series, much less the rest of the playoffs. So it's kind of a give and take the way I view it. And like Shai scoring 20 plus the rest of the way weighs heavier, in my opinion, than Austin Reeves getting back to, at his averages or above averages. I mean, the law of averages will tell you that he's going to have a breakout game to hit his average again. The question is it going to matter? Because is that going to happen on the same night that Shai goes for 37 with 12 free throw attempts and it makes it a moot point because the Lakers lose by like 8? So,
yeah.
I know everybody was making the Lakers in 5 jokes, which I thought was funny, but I just don't know if I see the Lakers winning this, man. This might be where I can be like, it's over. But I'm not going to say it's over because it's Braun, bro.
That's fair. That's a good point.
It's Braun, but Braun played great last night, and it didn't matter. Not once was it was close, and the Thunder eventually just pulled away. But it just didn't feel like it was going to matter because the Thunder are the Thunder. They're a better team. They're a better team. And you got Alex Caruso, the psychopath, hitting the basketball against his head.
Right.
That was crazy. So I don't know. Just what's your takeaway from this?
I kind of wanted to start where you ended there. I think you got to give props to the Lakers. Or I guess for LeBron, give props to LeBron because everyone's telling me it's LeBron versus the Thunder, not the Lakers versus the Thunder. Speaking of that, I think they weren't they 15-point underdogs last night or something like that? It was something crazy.
I didn't see it. Could have been.
He was a huge. I think it might have been one of the bigger underdog spreads of LeBron's career or something like that. It had to have been, but like you said, they kept it close for 3.5 quarters, and then the Thunder kind of just pulled away, did their thing. Chet Holmgren had a really good game, 24 points last night. So if you're getting 24 from Chet and 18 from AJ Mitchell, then it's and all you have to worry about is LeBron, then yeah, this series probably isn't going to go your way. I'm not sure I have much to add. Going into this series, we knew that the Thunder are probably going to win, and the Lakers are missing Luka, so they're missing a lot of scoring. So it's going how I think we thought it was going to go. It's a tough series for the Lakers, but shout out to even if regardless if the Lakers get smoked, LeBron had his moment in these playoffs when nobody gave them a chance against the Rockets, and it was, I guess, LeBron and friends, if you want to put it that way, against Houston.
Literally LeBron and his son.
Yeah, exactly. They went up 3-0, almost kind of blew it. Rockets won 2 games for pride, but nobody actually thought the Rockets were going to come back down 0-3.
Except Kendrick Perkins. He thought the Rockets were going to win it.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did switch up multiple times in that series. LeBron gave us that meme, the Alperen Şengün meme, the you don't say that at the free throw
Anybody
line.
else around here, you
got voted the most overrated player in the league by his peers today, Alperen Şengün, by the way. By 12% of fans voted him the most overrated player in the league. So maybe he'll have a Halliburton bounce back next year and use that as fuel and motivation for next season. But yeah, man, the Lakers don't really stand a chance. I think we knew that going in, and if Luka's not going to come back, then get one game for pride.
I want to point that it's going to be game 4. I can already see it.
Yeah.
I want to point out that the last time that the Lakers faced the Rockets in the playoffs, it was in the bubble.
I remember that series. Yeah,
the Lakers dominated. Then the Rockets blew it up. Went into a rebuild, took that rebuilding team to the playoffs, and then still lost to LeBron James.
Yeah,
I that part is not lost on me, and I think it's hilarious, and it just shows the testament of LeBron's longevity. Never mind the fact that he threw a lob to his own son. We're never seeing that again. I understand that we're talking about Lakers Thunder here, but I think we already have come to the conclusion on that. I just need to circle back to this because I haven't said anything publicly about this. That was ridiculous. There are a lot of things in basketball that, it'd be you might never see that again. We are never going to see that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are what do you mean LeBron James created his own teammate, then threw a lob to him in the playoffs? That's ridiculous in all the best ways. I loved it. I mean, you and I watched that game together. We were watching it and we watched Braun hit that 3 to tie it in game 3. But yeah, that's just, oh my God, that was insane. So it's very interesting. And maybe I only feel that maybe this feeling isn't shared across the NBA fan base, but LeBron can get swept here and I won't care. I don't view this as a oh my God, this would be detrimental to his legacy. Because I don't think getting swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder is greater than, or heck, it might not even be equal to the magnitude of what he did versus the Rockets in round 1.
Yeah.
I
agree.
I just think that when the 10-part LeBron documentary comes out years from now, part 10, or maybe it might be part 9, but the last point will be that Rockets series, and we will get all those we'll get the meme again.
Yeah.
The lob to Bronny. And nobody the fact that he lost this series versus the Thunder will just be a blip. It'll just be we didn't win the title that year. But you got to see who we were up against.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I agree.
I also think that that's a reflection of just like Oklahoma City, how just we're used to just them being very good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. As much as I don't want to admit it because I don't like watching them play, I gotta put that to the side to say that like they're just rolling, man. They haven't lost yet in these playoffs.
And they still don't even have J-Dub. Like J-Dub's gonna come back eventually. So
yeah, I looking forward to the Shea MVP trophy. Super excited.
I like going into the playoffs, it looked like we knew that the Thunder were kind of going to have a cakewalk to the conference finals, given how the standings finished. Like they were going to get either Phoenix or Golden State in round one, and then
Curry would have won one game.
Steph will get you one. Like you saw what he did against the Clippers. Like he can do that for another game against the Thunder if playing Kristaps Porzingis is going to come along too and play well. He would have gotten you one, and then like. Even if the Rockets won against the Lakers, I think the Thunder would do the exact same thing that they just did to the Lakers to the Rockets. So it's like I don't even really think it. Yeah, man. Like the playoffs for the Thunder start in the conference finals. Last year they had one bye series against the Grizzlies. This year they have two. So the playoffs start in the conference finals.
I'm curious what Braun still has in the tank. Like, can he steal a game with just him and his son, with him, Reeves, and his son and friends? Like, because that's kind of what it is. I mean, Luke Kennard played great for the first half of the Rockets series. Could we see that again? I don't know. It's kind of like what I was talking about with the Sixers earlier. There's a situation here where all the chips just fall, and the Lakers actually, I still think they're good enough without Luka to where they don't need quote unquote all the chips to fall, but.
We're talking about to win a game, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I don't know about winning this. I'm going to go as far as to say win the series. Technically speaking, Lakers in 5 is still on the board. Yeah. It's not over yet.
Yeah.
But if they couldn't even win 4 in a row against the Rockets, I don't see how they win 4 in a row against the freaking Thunder. But
yeah,
there's a scenario where the chips fall enough to where they win a game. Heck, maybe even 2. But like, yeah. I bring that up just to say I don't know if it's a bye series, like a bye week for them, but they sure played like it is. Like that was the most unsurprising win. I don't.
When you compare it to what they had,
the Lakers, which is the craziest part.
When you compare it to what they had in round 2 last year, 7 games versus Denver, when Michael Porter Jr. was in and out, Aaron Gordon got hurt, and Jokic still pushed them to 7. Like, I think if you compare that series to what they're going to face this series, you could argue it's kind of like a bye series.
Or don't tell Braun that. It might be 2018. It's 2018 all over again because he's playing all the best opponents.
Yeah.
Like, he's a 4 seed again, too. Like,
yeah.
Just be wary, man. I mean, granted, he smoked the 1 seed when in the East that year.
Right.
But that's not happening this year. But look, man, all I'm going to say is, I'll end with this. I don't know how many Braun playoff runs we have left. There might be 3 games left in this one. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch them all because who knows if we're getting this again. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Well, that's all for this episode of the Professional Hate Watching Association. We will be back to discuss the rest of round 2 as it progresses. Is the Knicks series over? Yeah, it might be. I'm not going to say it. He says it though.
It's over, dude.
But for now, that's all we have for this episode. Thank you as always for watching. For Daniel, I'm Ethan. We will see you next time.